One thing I'd like to find out from you before we wrap up is what's your view on being a female as a leader? Because I suspect I could almost name a lot of those leaders in that top true 25 list. I would bet that a lot of them were blokes.
Yeah, definitely a lot of them were blokes.
What's it like being considered a true leader in Australia, in amongst this man's world of leadership?
I don't think about being a woman in a man's world. I just think about doing what I do. I'm very lucky. I was brought up just to do my best always and to be very good at what I did. It was just always an expectation in our family that you would excel. There was never a question about that. There was my brother, there was my sister, and there was myself, and there was never a distinction made between any of us. So I don't think of myself as a woman in a man's world, and I think that can actually be a trap. I think you've just got to be you, and you've got to do things the way that you would normally do things, and I find I get respected and paid the same, treated in the same way. I don't think that people are thinking of me as a woman. Maybe they are, but I don't feel that, and I think it's very important not to try and play games or to double think it like a man would, or I think you've just got to play your natural game, and I think that's the best, that's the way I've always done it. It certainly worked for me. Maybe I've been fortunate in that regard, but I think it is sound advice. I don't think you should try and do things in a particular way to try and play by the rules.
So would it be fair to say that if you know what's going to get you out of bed in the morning, you love what you do, you've thought a lot about the things you want to do, you go to work to do your best, and you don't worry so much about what other people are thinking, you're actually doing what you think is right and doing your best. Does that all form part of that belief of how a female in a man's world can actually be a great leader in your mind? Is that sort of, we're connecting a few dots here?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I mean, it is hard if you want to juggle all of those things, and I feel unbelievably blessed that I've had the luxury of having a wonderful job and leading a wonderful organisation and having a wonderful husband and 3 extraordinary children, and being able to combine all of that. But it's hard. You can't pretend that you're doing multiple jobs, and I've always wanted to do them all very well. So it's challenging, and I think one of the things that's terribly important is that you don't try and do it all on your own. I think that's very hard. I think you do need to have your partner or your family, your children, friends, whatever it is. You do need a support network around you, because if you want to have kids and a wonderful role, they do need to be looked after. They do need to know that they're grounded and that they're loved, and they are not second best in your life. They've got to feel that they're first best, and somehow you have to juggle all of that. And it can be done, but it takes tremendous planning. It takes actually planning and organisation, I think, are the most important. How am I going to deal with the fact that I've got a meeting on this night, that I've got to be there, that I am going to be home late, but I've promised everyone that I would do this and this, and I have to think my week in advance and organise that, someone will be there for this person, and that we will all be together. And that's the thing. There are some nights that you can't, or some days that you can't get it all right, but then on Thursday night we will all be together, and we have a regular Thursday night tradition, just in the family, that there are always times when we will get together. So planning, organisation, not being afraid to ask for help, and people who are in good jobs and are ambitious. I think you have to spend the money to get, we had a raft of babysitters when I was little. I had a sort of a list of them that, it was never, I couldn't go because X wasn't free. There was X and there was Y and there was Z, and we got a network of our family, our kids, our friends' children to help us, and you can do it so that you have one big extended family and the kids aren't feeling that they're being dumped. But it's about planning and commitment that these 2 parts of your life will be equally important, and it can be done. And I think it's very important to, I often get asked to speak to women in the workplace, certainly young women researchers, but also more broadly than that, to serve as a role model. I think sometimes the risk is that it can be a bit scary because they'll say, I don't want to have to do it that hard. You look as if it's hard, but the reality is if you love it, what you do, if you love your job and you're also blessed with a family that you love as well, then it's worth it.
They understand what you're going to be doing as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So to the naysayers, I remember hearing a saying just recently. This guy said, if someone's done it, it can be done. And I think the fact that you're sharing with other females who aspire to be great leaders, and they are, you're doing it.